So I thought what I would do in this video is talk briefly about debugging. And specifically what I wanted to focus on was a particular axiom of debugging. Debugging is a natural part of a lot of things. I would say you come across scenarios where you need to do debugging more often as a developer than in a lot of other jobs. That's maybe too broad a statement and incorrect, but I would say as a developer, a decent part of your job is debugging. You're doing debugging normally as part of your code anyways, so it's good to understand some principles, and I hope that this and other subsequent follow-up videos will cover debugging axioms or principles that you can apply mentally without needing to rely on tools of other kinds. So that's not to say that you shouldn't use debugging tools. You absolutely should. There are lots of debugging tools, and some of them are extremely useful. So by all means, if you have the context to use a debugging tool, go for it and do it. But there are going to be scenarios where you either don't have the ability to use a debugging tool or tools for some reason, or the tools fail you. They're not. There's a number of reasons why the tool might not be useful to you. So by having some of these principles, axioms of debugging in your mind, you can mentally work your way through a debugging process without the need for a tool. So this is just one. So what I'll do is I'll take a real-world example of a scenario that you could absolutely come across and how we might debug it. So this axiom is called burn it off. When you consider what a debugging tool does, sometimes it will give you metrics on performance and things like that. But there are times when you use a debugging tool and you set breakpoints, which means that you stop the execution of code at a certain point in the code. And really what you're saying is everything after that breakpoint doesn't exist. The whole world stops at this breakpoint. So you've kind of burned off anything past the breakpoint. So it's a similar kind of idea. It's not exactly the same, but the idea is similar. You're burning off something in order to get to the root of a problem. So that can mean you're removing components or features or code, or doesn't really matter what, but you're removing something so that you can determine where a bug doesn't live. Which kind of, when you say it out loud, it kind of sounds, counterintuitive, I suppose. But really, if you're not sure where a bug lies, you want to start off by removing where it doesn't lie. So in this real world scenario, we're going to talk about a map on a page, and you receive a bug report that says the map is slow. The map on this page is slow, and that's your report. Go fix it. And for whatever reason, you don't have the debugging tools to go solve that. So you have a page, you've got a header with some menu items and a footer with some menu items, and then at the center is the map. And you've been told the map is slow. And so your inclination might be, I'll go prove whether the map is slow or not. And really what you've done there, if you're not careful, you've made an assumption that the page as a whole without the map is fine. And you shouldn't assume that, especially if it's coming from a public user. Like if the bug report comes from a public user, you'll find that, for example, with a scenario we're looking at, this user might perceive the map to be slow because the page is slow. and they don't understand that one correlates to the other or in a direct sense. So don't make the assumption that just because you're told the map is slow, that the map is slow. You want to confirm that the page isn't slow. So start off by burning off the map. So just don't load it into the page at all. Just remove it. And so all you've got is the header, footer, and an empty content in the center. And check the page. Is it fast? Okay, it's fast. So now you know it's probably the map. Great. So now you just keep burning off. So load up the map. The map is powered by a bunch of AJAX calls, which pulls down some JSON, and the JSON has a bunch of coordinates. And then you plot those coordinates on the map as pins or markers, and you've got this nice little custom image marker for each pin. So you've put the map on the page. Just remove the AJAX calls. Just don't even, no AJAX calls, no JSON, no maps, no custom image, nothing. Just the plain map. Plop it on the page. Is the page and the map fast? Yep. Okay. So now we know it's deeper down the tree. So you put the AJAX calls in, and you just don't do anything with the JSON. Just make the calls. Is the page still fast? Is the map still fast? Yep. Okay. Move on. Plant the pins, but don't use any images with them. Just plant them on the map. Maybe use the default image. Is it still fast? Yep. Okay. Put the custom image marker on it. Now it's slow. So now you've narrowed it down to the bug lives somewhere within the usage of your custom map pin marker image. It's a very long-winded sentence, but I hope you follow. The point is, you're breaking a layer, a two-dimensional top-down layer of things, layered on one on top of another. You're breaking it down and you're kind of setting a contextual breakpoint. So your first breakpoint was the HTML and the header and the footer, and then breakpoint at the map. Is everything okay? Yep. Okay. Breakpoint at the AJAX calls. Is everything okay? Yep. And then until you get to, oh, it's slow now. This isn't right. So that's, I would say in a nutshell, what the burn it off debugging axiom is. And if you're able to mentally implement that in your routine as a developer, you end up building a repertoire of axioms, which I'll cover in several posts and videos, that together make you a debugger. So when you're just not getting what you need out of a tool, you can handle it yourself. Although a bit more time consuming, a bit more tedious, you can do it. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope that's given you a sense of one of the ways that you can tackle debugging and what that looks like. And I think just as not a minor, but like a sub, but pretty important key point, don't make assumptions. Ask yourself what assumptions you've made to get to a certain point when you've jumped to a certain point. Assumptions are I feel like they're a developer's worst enemy. And in another video post, I'm going to cover assumptions and how that can really kill your productivity or cause a lot of problems for you if you make a lot of assumptions. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.